This is the Total Freedom Podcast, presenting number one best-selling author Christopher Duncan, bringing you proven strategies to free your time, free your mind, and free your income, so that you can do more of what matters most. Learn more at ChristopherMDuncan.com.
Welcome to the Total Freedom Podcast with Ashley Zahabian, who I just learned how to say her last name properly, and what a great last name it is. I'm so excited to have you here, Ashley. I mean, it's so much fun to have someone at your age doing great things. I mean, you're 21. You spoke on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, you're one of the youngest female public speakers there is that I know of for sure. You're doing motivation, helping people get their teams fired up, and all sorts of things. So welcome to the Total Freedom Show. It's an honor and a privilege to be spending some time together.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Let's drop right in. Like I'm excited about this. I've just had a coffee. I've got my new green headphones on, and listeners, I've got some really cool headphones. I hope you guys can hear me clear, but I'm going to be able to move instead of just being stuck to the normal mic. I'd love to hear your backstory. I mean, how did you get started becoming a speaker? Like what led you to this place?
Yeah. So when I was 14 years old, I was going through a lot in my life. I felt like I was losing control. I feel like everybody kind of goes through that at some point in their life where they're like, what do I do next? You know, you get out of school, especially young entrepreneurs are very like innovative, creative people. You're kind of like, well, what do I do next? What's the next step? There's no platform for me. So I lost control of my life. And at 14 years old, I was diagnosed with anorexia and was rushed to a hospital. And literally the first week I went in, the doctor was like, you're dying. And I had no idea. I thought I was the healthiest person by, you know, lowering my calorie, this and that. It's a mental disorder, like completely mental. And I had no idea that I was so unhealthy. And the doctor literally told me, like, it's time for you to say goodbye to your family. Like, you're done. And I was like, no, I'm not. This is not the end of my story. This can't be the end of my story. So to fast forward a little bit, the next 4 years of my life, I was in and out of all these different hospitals, in therapy, wasn't allowed to use my phone, no computer, no friends, no family, no school. I was homeschooled in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So my high school years went in the trash. And when I finally came out, and you go through so much self-development, you realize how much you change over time. You don't realize it in the moment. But when I came out of the hospital, I was like, whoa, totally different person.
Yeah.
It was so inspiring to be able to put myself out there again and see, you know, what was normal to me was abnormal to others.
Right.
And so there was this one guy in Toronto, his name is Mike, he owns a ping pong studio, and he was like, okay, we're going to do a video with you on my YouTube channel. So we put it out there, and that's kind of where my name started to pick up. So I decided to open up my own YouTube, and I started on YouTube, right? It's like one of those YouTube stories.
Yeah.
And I guess it, you know, I had a competitive advantage of being a female, and my story took on through there, and I started getting all these emails. And it was this one hit on Motivation Grid. Shout out to Motivation Grid. And that video hit 1.6 million. So that was the moment of virality.
Wow. Good for you. And that's awesome. And what a story. I didn't know that about you. And are you able to see that as a gift yet? Everything that you went through?
Absolutely.
I think it's one of the hardest things.
And that's where the seed was planted.
Right on. I think sometimes in the hardest times turn into the best of times.
100%.
It's hard to see that, isn't it? And I look at it in different parts of my life. And, you know, funny enough, I still remember. I don't feel like I'm that much older than you. And it's great to see what you're doing. So you're speaking around on stages. You use obviously a very powerful story. You've got a great energy. What are you most excited about right now? What are you speaking on? What's in the pipeline? What's happening?
So what I'm really excited about is there's two projects. Number one, I'm working on my book, so I'm excited to drop that soon. It's called I've Conditioned Myself This Way. And
say again, what's it called? I think we missed it.
I've Conditioned Myself This Way.
I've conditioned myself this way. Cool.
Yeah, and the reason I titled it that is to help people realize that, like, all these great leaders that they see out there and they're following, inspired by, it's only because they condition. Like, we're human. We're all human at the end of the day. It's just we've literally conditioned our brains to be this way, and anybody can do it. So I'm writing that book, which I'm really excited about. And what really I've been going out on stages and doing is, instead of talking about all my achievements, actually my last speech with Gary Vaynerchuk, I didn't talk about any of my achievements. I spoke everything about I failed about. And I think that's what makes my story a little bit different, because I think that's what makes a speaker. It's when you share your story, rather than, you know, a lot of motivational speakers are kind of just like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm here just like, I called myself an entrepreneur when I wasn't. I took this shortcut. I was this. And I call myself, I like take a bunch of bullets so that the audience can sharpen their own knife. And that's what's really been so powerful recently, being able to show that vulnerability of like, the mistakes that you're making, it's not like I never made them, like they're on the right path. And I think what sets them so below us in their mind is that they're making all these mistakes when in reality, it's like, I make them too,
Yes.
And I think you can agree to that.
I mean, the biggest thing about vulnerability is it's the most powerful thing. And listeners, I really want to dive deep on this because I feel as though we're moving into a vulnerable and authentic state in the planet. And I'm in a movie coming up with Tony Robbins and others about rising up the consciousness. And so it's about that and step it into that vulnerability. So tell me about that. How are you able to do that? Aren't you worried about what other people are going to think? Aren't you concerned? How is that different? How does that work?
So again, being vulnerable, the answer is yes. I mean, I do think about what other people are going to say, and it does cross my mind, like, oh, are they going to think that I'm fake? Or are they going to think that I'm really not doing what I say I am because I did this when I really wasn't? But at the end of the day, like the whole idea of humanity, like if you think about like business or relationship, I mean, I can go into an interview at a company and my vulnerability can win me the position just because honestly, it's so highly respected. And sometimes we have to take our own advice. I always say, going into one of the biggest advices that I can give anybody in the world is stop dating yourself. I think so many people are just dating themselves. When we date people, we become blind of the flaws, right? We become blind of the flaws, and we do things like that are so completely irrational. But when you watch yourself from like a bird's eye view, and you know what's right and wrong. We all know what's right and wrong. You do it anyways. Like you have to do what's right anyway. So for me, it was like I can't. One of the things that I spoke about in the Gary Vaynerchuk speech was I was calling myself an entrepreneur before I had a company, and that doesn't make any sense. You shake someone's hand and you say, I'm an entrepreneur, but what does that really mean? Like that word has no value unless it's given to you as like a title. But too many of us are stepping out of our titles. Like hi, I do real estate and I do Forex and I'm an entrepreneur. And you're just unvaluable because you're not an expert at one thing, which is what everybody's looking for. They want the best of the best when they connect to somebody and they want to create that partnership. It's like, what do you do that you're really, really good at? Because if you're not that, I'd rather pay the extra mile, to get an expert. So we just our egos too much. And I think that's the secret to vulnerability. And that vulnerability, the reason I did that on stage was not just for the crowd, even though it benefited the crowd, was for myself. Because like by calling myself out, I will never go back to that place. Never. So it propelled me too.
First off, good for you. You're an inspiration, and how amazing is it to hear somebody talking about vulnerability at your age when what I see so often is the amount of fakeness out there. And I love that you just say, I called myself an entrepreneur before I actually stepped into having my own company and those sort of things. I love that going first mentality. And I think a lot of listeners and a lot of watchers need to understand that, is that, it's like, and let me put this out there and see what you think. It's like the universe is a mirror and everyone's waiting for the mirror to smile back at us before we do the smiling. And we can understand that if we want the mirror.
Beautifully said. That was beautifully said. I
don't think it's mine. I think I've got it from somewhere else. But I think, we're waiting, right? We're waiting for the mirror to show me back an entrepreneur. The mirror saying, well, show me an entrepreneur and we'll show it back to you. And it's that go first mentality. But here's the second thing, and I want to ask you about it. Sure. It's almost like there's an echo. It's like we put out, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, and then the first echo back goes, no, you're not. Right? Because it's still echoing, because it's an echo. It's your old vibration.
It's louder. You're like, yes, I am. Yes,
right
I
on.
believe it. And then what happens is when you start to believe it, and this is scientifically proven, when you give yourself a title you don't deserve, it fulfills your ego enough for you not to actually do the work. And that's where you're failing. That's where people are just not having the work ethic. And I realized that in myself, and I was like, I need to call myself out. And I don't care what anybody else thinks, because at the end of the day, I'm going to sleep knowing I'm actually going to do the work now. Yeah. So that's where the truth comes from. And I think it's more impressive for people to put out videos saying like, here's where I went wrong, rather than here's where I went right, because behind the right, there's 20 wrongs. And if you're not showing the 20 wrongs, you're really not bringing value to the audience. You're really not, because then you're making it look like it's all easy. You can't just go talk about what you did and achieved 24/7, because that's where this whole overnight success thing is. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, that whole trend came from that.
Right on.
I want to break that. It's not like that. I'm on my way. I'm doing my thing. Daily. It's hard, But no, like I make the same mistakes as you. I have an ego. I'm hot-headed sometimes. I'm insecure. I'm human. And I think that at the end of the day is 10 times more powerful.
That message is ringing so strong right now in the universe. I've got friends of mine on Facebook talking about this all the time and actually sharing and being authentic. And I think with Snapchat coming out and all these new things where you just can't hide anymore. You just can't be a 2D thing that has beautiful, like looking at, you got to show up, you got to be real. And so I would love to hear, what are some of the big failures that you've had? What are some of these big failures? What are the vulnerabilities that you shared or you think that the entrepreneurs listening right now need to hear so that you can bring some mad value to the crew?
Yeah, I think one of the ones are, for me, it was, okay, so here's a really good example. When I was doing all the speaking and I started getting like my name amped up and my ego was hot, I was like, all right, I want to start monetizing this. And first of all, I only put a year of content out. That's not enough to start monetizing, right away in a sense of coaching, which is what I was doing. I was making 100, the 200, the 300, the 1,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. And at that moment, I'm like, this is not my money. It's not my money. Like, I'm not an expert in what I'm talking about. And so many people are doing that. They're coaching. What the hell are you, what the hell was I coaching at 19 years old? Like, to be honest, like, what am I coaching at 19 years old? I have not gone through the point to be coaching and taking hundreds of dollars from people who are way older than me. Like, I was getting paid by like 40, 50-year-olds that were working in companies. And I remember I put out this one video called, you can't take shortcuts, something about shortcuts. And I announced it. I was like, I'm no longer going to be coaching because it's just not my money. There's an expert out there that actually did the work that deserves that money. And I got to keep working so that I deserve mine. I think the word deserve is so important. And I said this in my speech, in order to deserve your wealth, in order to deserve that good relationship, in order to deserve that consistent business, to deserve the good lifestyle, the freedom, the happiness, you need to be able to serve. If you want to deserve, you got to serve. And if you're not going to serve, you just don't deserve it. And that was one of the things that I realized. I was too hot-headed. I was stepping on a pedestal. And I was like, cool, like, just because my name was popping out. But at the end of the day, it's not my money. Like, and I was chasing the pennies, not the purpose. And it cuts you short, because when you take on one client that's not supposed to be your client, there are 10 others behind you that you're turning your back to that really wanted to listen to your stuff. But they're like, oh, she's charging, she's a scam.
So I guess what you're really trying to say is you've got to find your own person. Now I'm going to bring in some controversial stuff here because I think it's important. Let me ask you this. Say I want to be a good basketball player. Who do I get coaching for? Michael Jordan or the person down the street?
Michael Jordan.
But here's the challenge. And I want to bring this up. But what if he's so good at doing it and not good at coaching? And what if he's forgotten what it is you need to learn all the way back there? Just what if?
I don't think that's possible.
What if?
I'll tell you why. Because somebody who goes through their own journey will never forget the journey. Like I will never forget how to take somebody out of depression because I did it myself. I had an eating disorder because I did it myself. Maybe somebody doesn't have the right character, then you go to the next best. And this brings up another good story for other people who are entrepreneurs who feel like they can't reach the top of the top. I mean, I'm 21 years old. I'm a female. I'm a YouTuber. I've traveled. I've done my stuff. I've met some of the top people, Gary Vee, the Les Brown's family. I'm reaching out to Eric Thomas's. There's so many people on that level that I've been able to connect with. You, Joel Brown, Caleb. And it's like, you just have to ask. Like they're human at the end of the day. And sometimes I always say, if you're trying to get mentored or you're trying to reach certain people, start at the top and then dilute yourself. Don't start at the bottom.
I got it. Question. Do you believe there's people that are good at coaching something they're not good at doing?
Yeah, but
100%. And here's what I want to add to this because here's what I'm sensing and seeing is that sometimes we place so much value on the talent. Truth is, Tiger Woods had his dad coaching him. Truth is, he had mentorship. But the truth is there's parts, I think, and maybe that wasn't your place to be in that moment. I agree. But let's just say this. I think everyone out there who's looking for a coach, it's not me, it's not you. But I want us to just look and dive into and think, well, okay, what if Tiger Woods isn't the golf coach for you right now because you need to work on your freaking swing right now and you need to work on that. And he doesn't know how to do a swing because in his journey, and this is the key, in his journey, he just got the swing straight away. So Michael's out there, Michael Jordan's wanting to coach you and you've got a problem with your jump shot, but he ain't never had that problem. And so what if there's a place that I want to explore of the coach, of the coach who hasn't got the results, but he's got results with others.
Oh, yeah. So you go to the expert who got the result that you're specifically looking for.
Uh-huh. And what if you can't access them?
And what if you can't?
What if you can access them?
But you start at the top. Because what happens, what I think a lot of people are doing is they're starting low and they're saying yes to the first one they get because they don't have their confidence and think they're good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you know, you have to do your research. I mean, look for the person who's really, really, really good at exactly like be so direct in what you want, and also bring something to the table. You know, like if you're looking for a coach or mentor, you don't always have to bring money to the table. Like you can work for somebody.
Right.
And I want to learn how you're doing it, especially somebody doing it. But what I realized is I was coaching in things, and here's what I see some people doing that you've just never done. And maybe, like I said, I was good at. I know I brought value, but again, there was another expert who was 2 times better than me or 3 times better than me. And I believe it was their path.
I just want to let you know how much I love you for having that vulnerability and that acknowledgement. And I also want to acknowledge that there are people that you are coaching and that you're doing that. Maybe there was someone else more experienced, but maybe you're just the right person for them. And maybe you're being a little bit hard on yourself when you say that, because honestly, if someone's got results, here's a little thing I want to introduce, and I want all the audience to hear this. All right, say you want to be good at tennis. Okay, you look up. I got to go to Roger Federer or Andre Agassi. Of course, they're going to be my coach. But who do you go down to the pro office down the road who for $50 will stand there and show you how to get your swing? Right? You got to have those people. Yes. And I think there's different roles. And I love that you're bringing so much value. And I love that you're talking about, find the person, get the person at the top, start at the top. But the truth is, sometimes you just got to work on the basics. And the truth is, sometimes in some areas, in many areas, there is somebody else that can actually give you the time and can work with you at a certain place that's going to help you to get there. Thoughts?
Ready? Here's a vulnerable response to that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just want to.
That's how you grow.
I want the audience to hear this from me: is that find the people to surround you that are going to get you there. Choose wisely. If they're not helping you, right, Ashley? If they're not helping you, choose someone better. And you know what? I freaking love your vulnerability, and good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
It's so good. I want to hear a bit more about your journey. I want some of the audience. So if someone's out there, they want to be a speaker, they look at you.
Yes.
What should they do?
How to become a speaker. The biggest thing in becoming a speaker is to focus on your story. One of the biggest mistakes that I found, starting out was I wanted to be everybody else's story because I didn't believe mine was powerful enough. And it was only the point where I actually shared my story that the feedback was just like, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. I want to hear more. And it was so weird because I get to think the life you live, you feel like,
what? Me? Yeah, that's so good.
But I always feel like everybody has to speak, right? Everybody can be a speaker. But, for me, it was like I wanted to be the next other person that was speaking or the other person. And I was listening to them. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Oh, that's a good point. And I was like, but then the magic really happened. Ashley Zahabian is Ashley Zahabian. And because that was my reality, it was just my normal. I didn't think anything special of it. I was like, this is my life. But other people were just so interested in it. And then I started to realize, as I learned about you, or as I learned about other influencers, I'm like, yeah, it is theirs. I want to hear their story. I don't want to hear the other guys. I'm talking to you, Right. So believing that your story is impactful because somebody else didn't go through it.
Right. And we're given that story for such a reason. And yours is so, so, so powerful. Like, seriously. And hearing that and where you're at and coming through, it's just perfect. And, I'm so proud to know you. It's really cool. And good for you for going out and doing some big things. So what's next on the cards for you? What have you got coming up?
So like I said, I have my book coming out, which I'm really excited about. And another big project that I'm working on, been working on it for about 4 months now, is creating a world tour with top influencers. So I haven't even told any of the influencers yet. So you're first.
What's the tour about?
So the tour, I want to bring in together probably 10 to 15 influencers and connect with every single person's audience. I think it's really important to, number one, cross-pollinate on who we're speaking to, and also bring in new advice from different areas, right? So like your fan base will thank you for bringing in other people and saying, I want to share this knowledge with you guys. My people who are watching my stuff, if I bring your story in and other influencer stories, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. I'm getting this all just because I followed Ashley, or just because I followed Chris, or just because I followed X and X amount, and being able to travel as top influencers in between the different, locations that we go, I want to connect as a group and create an even bigger project. I think it's really important for all of us to connect, which is why I'm so happy to be on this podcast. It's nice to be able to connect with you because you've done some amazing things with your life, and it's so inspiring. And I'd love to hear, be able to sit down with all these new people, go out to dinner with new faces that I've never seen before, and just be like, wow, what's your story? What's your story? What's your story? And there's so much to learn. And at the same time, we serve the whole world and travel, and that's a dream of mine. So I've been working on that.
Nice. When's that coming into action? Is that this year or is it drawing board?
I think it's going to be within the next few years because I really want to get the venues and everything planned out before I reach out. Once everything's done and I have that to bring to the table, nobody says no.
Right on.
Just
right on.
Come on board,
Right on. You're very.
It's my dream. I gotta care first, but I'm excited.
Good for you. It's so nice to have you on this and just hear the voice. And there's not many young female speakers or female speakers in general. And so we need more women on stage. We're moving into a feminine consciousness. We're moving into that place. So for the women listening, they're inspired. They've listened this long to us. And what do they need to hear from you? A message for the women to get out and to share their story and their message.
Yeah. To every single female that's listening to this, nothing matters more than you being yourself. And I think for women, there's a huge pressure, and I mean huge vulnerability that we have to be a certain way because we're so naturally insecure. We're so naturally judgmental on ourselves. Way more, guys are simple. I was watching this video the other day about how guys can sit and literally think about nothing. Like, I don't know how that's possible.
I don't think it's possible. I think it's just a good video.
I don't know. It was like, guys are just so much more simple. Like, you guys have these like boxes in your head and you have like a box that just thinks of nothing.
Yeah, right.
That's real. But to the females, I mean, embrace the fact that your mind is just racing all day. For me, when I meet people, I show that vulnerability. I don't try and hide the fact that I'm an emotional person. I don't try and hide the fact that I'm a deep person or that I think a lot or that I'm this or, if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. If you're having a good day, you're having a good day. But that's what makes you the strong woman. That's what puts you up to the front. Don't hide who you are. It's nature. Guys don't go out there and like, hide who they are, that they're aggressive, that they want to have fun, that they want their alone time. They just do. And you should do the same thing. And I think that's what makes me a little bit more aggressive because I have a very direct approach to life. But I got that from, hiding who I was literally had me on my deathbed, literally. And when you know what that feels like, you'll never do it again. Like I will never, ever, ever hide who I am again, whether that means I'm calling myself out on stage to 1,500 people, or whether that means I'm gonna, whatever it is, just you can't hide who you are. It's literally a detriment to your health. It can kill you. I mean, it got me to a place where it can almost kill me. And especially as a female, it's so hard to focus when your mind is running on all these negative thoughts. But it's better to just call yourself out, put yourself out there, go through the pain for a day, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Move on. Be free. Be you.
That's it. And I think we should definitely finish on that. Be free and be you. What an absolute pleasure it's been to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I'm sorry we have to say goodbye, but I do want to just keep it on point on the time frame. Listeners, in the show notes at ChristopherMDuncan.com, we'll give you links to everything, Ashley, Twitter, Facebook, websites, the YouTube. You should go and follow her. She's got some amazing free stuff. I've got it. It's good. Go and get it and live with total freedom. Free your mind, free your time, free your life. Do what matters most. Have an amazing day out there, everybody. Smash it.
This has been the Total Freedom Podcast. Learn more at ChristopherMDuncan.com. Use the hashtag #TotalFreedomTV, and Chris will answer your questions. What are you doing to create freedom today?